Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk about the Walking Dead TV show. Now, this is going to be one of those ramble and rant videos that I do. It's going to be a long one, but this time I'm going to put the titles and the times right off to the side so you can see what we're discussing in this video, and then you can skip around if you want. If some of the topics don't interest you, you can move on to something else. With that said, one of the topics just broke 30 minutes ago. It'll probably be a couple hours old by the time you see this video posted, but it has to do with contradictory statements about toning down the violence. We will get to that in a little bit, but the first topic has to do with images we received, or a single image, I should say, a week or two ago, and this is the image right here. There's not a whole lot to go with it, however, I do have to kind of bring up spoiler information, and the information isn't that spoilery, it's not that major, it's very minor. If you look at this image just a little bit and apply some creative thinking, you're gonna know the spoiler. This image basically spoils it in itself. It's nothing major. You know me, I hate spoilers, and I don't even think it's that big of a spoiler. So what am I talking about? A few months ago, I was seeing, and this has been going on for a while, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I keep seeing people saying something about Cabbage Patch Kids or Garbage Pail Kids. At first I thought it was something from like a popular video on YouTube where somebody made fun of The Walking Dead, and they used that in making fun of them, and that's why we kept seeing it in the comment section. But I was talking to the mods that helped me that know the spoilers. Well, apparently the spoiler is that these guys live in a junkyard. I'm gonna just believe them on that one. That sounds so ridiculous, but okay. They live in a junkyard. I kind of want to believe it because that picture looks like a junkyard, plus they are just shittily dressed. And the boots, when we did the video when they showed the person looking at Alexandria with the binoculars, and then they had the boots, and then a lot of people were calling that person the Garbage Pail Kids or Cabbage Patch Kids. Again, I thought it was like a joke, but here it appears that that person watching them is somebody from the community. So I guess that would be another spoiler. I guess a lot of us knew that was either, you know, a solo person or a group, or a person from another group, so to speak. So apparently, sure, this is another person, it's another group. AMC has already let that be known, so that's not really a surprise. This is one of those cases where we're kind of talking about spoiler topics, but at the same strength, enough information is already out there, official information, where we could just piece it together ourselves, especially thanks to this image. I'm really shocked they released this image. I kind of feel like maybe they did release this because the spoilers are already out there. This image, I don't think this does anything. This doesn't really scream, get excited for the second half. They could have released anything where the group comes together. Anything at all. Give us a couple more pieces of Rick and Ezekiel talking, and I would have been 10 times more excited. This image honestly doesn't do anything for me. I already kind of feel like the world of The Walking Dead is getting too crowded the way it is, with how they're structuring the different communities and seeing a little bit here, a little bit here. I almost don't care because I feel like this is a throwaway community. This doesn't make me as excited for what's coming up. The really thrown together 10-second promo they did, where it's like, rise up and prepare for war, that got me excited. I'm like, okay, this is a cheap throw together ad, but I'm excited. I want to see our group come together, and that sounds like a lot of fun. And there's a couple other images that were released, but let's get this one out of the way. Okay, new community, check. They live in a junkyard. Okay, check. That confirms, I guess. I don't know if it's official, but I think we can assume, since the shoes were shittily done dressed shoes. I don't know, I like that word now, but okay, so that was the person watching Alexandria, check. I don't think they would introduce another villain. There would be no point to that, or another conflict, so this is going to be a good guy helping the group in some way, shape, or form, and it almost definitely ties into that really cool zombie. Now I'm actually excited thinking about that. They should have just shown that fucking zombie again. I shit you not. Screw the image they gave us. They could have just gave us a few seconds with that zombie. Oh man. So okay, there's another image with Rick and Simon, and it looks like Simon is unfortunately breaking the news to Rick that they have to tone down the violence, because Rick just looks heartbroken. And I got a good feeling by this image that Simon is telling Rick that his slanted stare, you know that stare he does when he's holding his Colt out, that is just a little too dangerous of a look, and we need to edit that out. It gives me the chills, and I've seen it 100 times. You know, I'll admit, I argue with some of the gore and the violence, but Rick's stare, that is vicious. I do agree on that. We should take that out. That creates nightmares. If I could be serious for a moment, Simon and Rick, I do believe this is about Daryl's escape. I don't know why Negan wouldn't just come himself, but I kind of get the feeling that this ties into Simon loading up on the truck. We need to think now, what would Negan be doing where he's not, you know, is Negan actively searching for Daryl? And this is Simon coming and being like, or maybe Negan's just so pissed and fed up. Maybe Negan's doing something else where Simon comes to Alexandria and he's like, listen, Rick, buddy old pal, I told Negan you probably don't know where he is. I don't think he would come back here, but as you could probably imagine, Negan's pretty pissed. So if you see Daryl, maybe just convince him that the best thing to do for everybody involved is to just turn yourself in. I kind of get that vibe from Simon showing up at the group. I mean, Simon shows up, Dwight shows up, maybe a little crew shows up. They get supplies, and then they kind of indirectly threaten Rick. The image with Michonne and Daryl we also got, I just think that's them getting to the kingdom. And I am really hoping that Daryl stays at the kingdom. I want to see something like that pop off. For one of our next topics, we have Lenny James talking about how horrible it was to film. And I'm going to leave links to the news articles I got these from down in that video description. If you want to read the articles, there's more information. There's additional information there. It has the fuller story. So if you want to get all the details, check out the links in the video description. But this is talking about how all the actors are in different locations, and Lenny James didn't see Rick, you know, Andrew Lincoln for weeks and weeks because everyone's separated in filming, and they're not even filming at the same times. So he said they offered him coffee. I thought this part was funny. They offered him coffee, they offer him tea, and he's like, I just hated it all. And the only time he got to see Andy or people, you know, he knew, obviously besides Carol probably, is when he got on the plane to fly back to see their families. I guess him and Andy flown together. And I think that's an interesting telling sign because there's a large part of the fans, and I know there's a section of the fan base that is like, okay, enough already, we get it, you don't like this style of filming, but that's unfair to say, well, because you're sick of hearing it. There's still that portion of the fan base that's still holding out hope that if the fans and the fucking cast is saying, guys, AMC, we don't like this, and I know it's a budget issue, we know it's a budget issue, we feel you on this, but we just don't like it. Give us something different. So I thought that's an interesting read if you want to check it out, but I'm not gonna stay in that topic. Let's move over to real quick how much the actors make. I don't like discussing this too much. A lot of times it doesn't have anything to do with the discussions, anything of substance, except for, I don't know, maybe curiosity. But it does appear that the actors got a pay raise. Apparently they had a contract for 7 or 8 years. I heard 8 originally, but it appears it's 7 because it looks like they're getting a pay raise this season. Andy and Daryl are getting, Andy and Norman are getting bumped up from around $80,000-$90,000 an episode to around $500,000, I think, between $500,000 and $600,000 an episode, which is obviously a lot better than the $90K. But here's where it gets problematic. If you're getting paid $90K an episode and you're in, 15 episodes, and then you're getting paid $600K an episode and you're in 4 episodes, it's kind of like, really? Doesn't matter? I mean, I'd have to sit back and do the math. I'm sure the pay raise with less is probably better. But if someone was like, listen, Ronnie, do you want to make $1 million or do you want to make $250,000 every episode? But the million's only 1 episode, the $250,000, that's 16 episodes. I'd probably have to be like, well, hold on, I'm not that good at math, so give me a minute. Let me make sure this is on the up and up. Yeah, so they get a pay raise. And there's another article with Lenny James on comicbook.com. That's another website I usually complain about because it's either clickbait, lies, or they're full of shit. And I do have to go and look now because I know this is the new thing where you'll get someone new will create a shit website and they'll call it like Make a Path Presents, but instead of with an S, it's with a Z. And then they'll just put out like clickbait, and they'll try to make the logos look like they do it with NBC and MSN and shit like that. It'll be like MSNN or some shit. So I do got to go and look and make sure it's comicbook.com, or I know there's a Comic Book Reserves, but the point is they titled this one of our heroes is going to betray the others, and I'm like, that's actually interesting because I didn't get any vibe at all like that. That's, man, I suck at my job. Let me go look and read this article, and Lenny James doesn't fucking say anything like that. Okay, honestly, he says something kind of like that. He doesn't say betray. He says good characters are going to go to the dark side, you know, a good character, and we'll see, you know, some bad people go to the light side, and it's all about perspective. Now, my first thought would be that, yes, there's good people that are going to do some really dirty, grimy shit, like Daryl, for example, killing Fat Joey. Before this whole shit with Negan, Daryl would not have killed Fat Joey. I don't believe that at all, because Daryl would have acted very different to Dwight in the woods back in season 6. So I don't believe that. I see that as going more towards a dark side. That is what I got out of Lenny James's interview. Not that somebody good is going to betray Rick. I want to wait and see it play out. If somebody good does, you know, betray Rick and the group, fine, okay, all right, you got us there. But if it's good people just a little rougher around the edges, that's the usual bullshit, the clickbait bullshit. So that's another article. You can find the link down below. And I do want to give a good fuck off shout out to Forbes and GQ. Forbes, for one, go fuck yourself. Stop reviewing The Walking Dead. I get this constantly, people sharing reviews from Forbes. They say the most ridiculous shit in the world. Even to the episodes, like when there's episodes that have flaws, you guys know I will talk about the flaws. When they have some really poor episodes in The Walking Dead, or maybe episodes fans don't really like as much, sure, fine, if you want to shit talk them. But then there's an episode that the fandom will explode with positive comments about this episode. Leave it to Forbes to bring up some sideline, you know, off the wall, side alley, dumb bullshit about this character that's so stupid. They're just such a negative and shit place. And I want to bring that up because a lot of people were asking me about which places were companies that complained, and it was Forbes and GQ, I think, had the most, if you search it up, as far as complaints about the violence specifically, because that's a main topic. And that's one topic we're going to go into right now, because there is a new article from Entertainment Weekly that just went out about 35 minutes ago, kind of contradicting what we heard a couple days ago. Before we go into the new article, I do want to address the people saying, Ronnie, it's disrespectful as a fan to tell them, no, we don't want it toned down. We should support them if they decide to tone it down, and I strongly disagree. Now, even though we're ranting and mad and pissed, we still love and support The Walking Dead, and I think this is so silly how this is viewed as not being supportive. Look, as simple as can be, the fans that are complaining, fans that want it toned down, right? They are saying, we don't want your vision. We don't want what you've been doing for the past 6 going into 7 years. We want you to alter it to fit our preferences. That's what they are saying. You know, even if they're mad. Yeah, they're mad because it was too shocking, too brutal, too gruesome for them, for their own preferences, and instead of turning away, instead of closing their eyes, instead of skipping that moment, they want to lash out in anger and make and force changes. They want to selfishly force the rest of the fan base who is fine and loving what they've been getting. They want to force the others to accept their preferences. And that's one of the main points why I'm so pissed. It's not the simple fact that it's less blood or less gore. It's forcing. It's that force. That is what I can't stand. Now me, what I'm saying is, and even though I'm pissed, even though I'm ranting, I am saying, no, Gale Anne Hurd, I want what you guys have been giving us. I want your vision. I don't want to force you to do anything. Not with complaints, not with anger. All I want is for you guys to continue to give your vision without being tainted from fan feedback. If there's a character you think needs to die right now in order to push the story in a more gripping way or to push the story forward, kill them. I do not want it where they are afraid to kill characters. I don't want it where they're afraid to do this. They're worried about the fan feedback. They're worried about this. There's enough to worry about naturally. I don't want to add to that. That is a huge, massive difference, because you have fans, again, that say, we want your vision. Scott Gimple, everyone who's involved, all the actors, the cast and crew, Greg Nicotero and his team, their amazing work. I want that, and I don't want to bother you. You don't do it, give it to us, and I'll talk about what I love and what I don't. It's as simple as that. The other group are saying, as selfishly as possible, again, this is what gets me so pissed, is because I see this as being complete selfish assholes. There's no way around it. There's no way. You cannot deny that is one of the most selfish things to do, is to say, this movie, this show, this form of entertainment doesn't fit my preferences. I want it changed, and I want everyone else to be happy about me forcing a change. That is incredibly selfish. This is not something new. This is not a new show. You know what? If I don't shut up about the topic, I'm gonna explode. Besides, the new article is about the same topic. Thoughts and opinions down in that comment box about everything we've discussed. I'm done talking. It's your turn.